Okay, so we're just going to add in another mechanic into the game that we're creating so far. This one's going to be a bit simpler, I guess, than the things we've been doing recently, so it shouldn't take too long. And it's just going to be something that you'll find in a lot of kind of standard platform games, and it's something that kind of launches you up into the air, like a little platform that will like launch you up to reach sort of higher areas and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So in your games folder, if you go over to your blueprints, where everything's stored so far, we're going to create a new one. So new blueprint class. This one's going to be an actor. What we're creating is the object that's going to be for the platform. So, it doesn't need any AI or any control or anything. So select actor, name it something, launch. Don't know why it's done that automatically. Launch pad. There we go. Okay, so we've got our new blueprint. If you double click it to open it, we need to add a component for the actual platform itself. And what I'm going to do is add a static mesh. Okay, so this is the route you would take if you had, again, your own 3D model from a different 3D modeling piece of software. And then you load in your static mesh into here. But what I'm going to do in the architecture presets, there is a object called SM Asset Platform. Okay, so click that and we're going to use that. Okay, put a material or anything on it that you might want to do. If you haven't done so already, on the Moodle page, I've put in someone else's tutorial actually on how to create lots of different types of materials. So you might want to go ahead and do that. You can create just like standard just block colors, or like metallic or glossy, or all these different types of materials that you can create. So you can create your own ones if you haven't done so already, rather than just having it grey. But that'll do for now. That's our platform. Obviously scale it if you need to and all that kind of stuff that we've done before. And the other component I'm going to need, again, which we've used before, is a box collision. Okay, which is our collision area. So I probably want to make that a bit wider so that it covers the whole platform, or at least most of it. That'll do. Okay. Move up a bit. Alright, so that's the area that the character needs to walk into for it to take effect. Let's go over to the event graph. Get rid of that preset stuff that's there. Similar again to what we've done before, so you click your box collision. That's the event we want to interact with. So add an event for it. Collision, add on component begin overlap. Okay, so when something overlaps that box collision, and that's something that we want to overlap it, is going to be the first person character. So cast to first person character, then link object to other actor. Should be fine. What you might find, if you ever plug this into the wrong thing, you'll know, because if like one of your projectiles, for example, overlaps this, then that'll get launched up into the air as well, which you obviously don't want to happen. So you only want it to be affected by the character. So other actor should be right then. So looking here, and then what it's going to do, there is actually an action just for launch character. Okay. And then you've got all these different things, ways in which you can affect the character in terms of it being launched. But first of all, you need to set up the target. So what is actually being affected by this? That target is going to be the character, so you can plug that into there. Okay, and then the velocity is like how it's being launched. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we need access to the X, Y, and Z values separately rather than having them here. So when you need to do that, if you just right click that, you'll get an option to split the pin. So if you click that, we've got different inputs for each one. Rather than just typing them in manually, what we're going to need to do is have an actual node that inputs into here, or well into the Z value, because that's going to go upwards. Okay, so from here, what we need to get is the character movement. So when you type it in, mine's just gone off screen. Let me see if I can get it higher. Yeah, so character movement. Sometimes you won't be able to see it when you search for it, but you might need to scroll right to the bottom. It says get character movement. That's the one we want. Okay, so if you remember, to show you what this is linking to, if I just minimize that and go to the first person character, the first person character has this option here, this character movement, all right, which has all your settings for how fast it can run, jump, and all the rest of it, which you can, if you want to have a look at it, monitor some of those. For example, max walk speed will change how fast your character runs. Okay, so you want to slow them down, speed them up. So remember when we created the AIs, their default speed was the same as the character. So if you wanted to slow down or speed those up, it's all to do with that max walk speed, which is in character movement. Okay, so that's what that's linking to, which is here. And then we want to just try and remember which one it was. Do a screen capture of what I did earlier. Jump Z velocity. Okay, so jump Z. Getting it. Get the jump Z velocity. Okay, so that jump Z velocity is going to be an attribute in character movement, which we're grabbing hold of here. It's getting whatever that value is. And then what it is, see it's green. Well, this is green here. If you remember how the variables are color coded, so green is for a float, and it actually shows it to you if you hover over it there. So I need to go type in float times float, because I'm going to multiply this velocity by a value, all right, and that's going to depend on how high you want your character to be launched, essentially. So if I just do like 2 for now, move this up a bit, and then plug that into the launch velocity Z axis. Okay, that should be it. So if you compile that, you should get a tick. Close it down. Drop the launch pad in somewhere. Push play. And if I run over it and step onto it, there you go, it launches me up, which, let's say this was an area that I needed to get to. It doesn't quite get me that high. So it's going to depend on your level design, so how high you want this to launch you. But if it needs to be changed, just go back into the launch pad again, and you can change this value here. So if I change that to 2.5, it was just not quite high enough. There we go. And then I can get up to this area. Okay, so quite simple, but something that is used a lot. But it looks like, I don't know if that's bouncing. I'm just trying to see if the projectiles are bouncing off of it or being. Yeah, they're not. I think they are. They are possibly being. It's hard to tell whether they're bouncing off it or also being launched into the air. So let's just try changing that to other component instead of other actor. Yeah, it doesn't want to do that. It must just be bouncing off. It just looks like it's like launching it as well, but it shouldn't do because it's not a character. I think it's just how the projectiles are bouncing off. Okay. So yeah, that's it. So obviously, again, think about your level design and how you want to incorporate all the different mechanics, because you can have it all in a random open space like I have, but it's not much of a game unless you actually create a level properly. What I did, by the way, in the last video, we did Destructible Meshes. Again, as I said, I've just been playing around with it. Sometimes you'll notice here, it's just collapsed on its own. I haven't even done anything to that, and it's already collapsed. So it's not perfect at the moment. So again, like I said, I was just sort of investigating into it. But if you get issues like that, you might need to make sure that the wall is placed on the ground perfectly, because if it's placed slightly above the ground, when you start the game, it's just going to fall because it's got gravity set to it, and that's going to sort of make it collapse a bit. What you can do, you actually have gravity as a setting over here. You can turn off gravity if you want to, but you'll notice that if it doesn't have gravity, then it starts floating around like it's in space, which is kind of a cool effect, but hey, it's up to you whether you wanted to use something like that. Okay, I'm going to keep that enabled, but yeah, these kind of need playing around with to get right, so I'll let you guys experiment with that. Other than that, that's it.